Good afternoon. I'm now interviewing the famous Mr. Walus, so there is no need to introduce him. But as a prelude, I would like to introduce myself in short. I'm Avner Eliyahu Romm, born in Israel. My father was born in South Africa, as well as my brother. And I also frequently visited Serbia, and all of this was of a great help in the matter of making the movie, the film, The Good, the Bad, and Mrs. Honey, Dobra Zła i Pani Honey, because the main story of it was inspired by part of the rabbinical book Sefer Torat HaMelech. All right. So first of all, uh, I used to, when you were in prison, I used to like develop the theory in order to help in the matter of having you freed. I developed the theory that of you being a descendant of the French Valois royal dynasty. What is the truth about it? Is it true or not?
No, I think it's I first time I hear about that.
All right. Yes, thanks.
Mm.
Now, maybe if you can tell us in short, the story of your uncle Władysław Lenartowicz, who was a fighter pilot and then a prisoner in Auschwitz and in Buchenwald.
Yeah, my uncle and my godfather, Władysław Renatowicz, was indeed the prisoner of Auschwitz for 2 years and 3 years in Buchenwald. Liberated by Americans, he returned to Poland. My uncle didn't talk often about his detention and horrors he suffered and the others suffered. I think he wanted to save us children all this. Later on, at the end of his life, he started to open up. So we heard more about it. It was very strong man, very honest and straightforward man.
Yes, and I understand, I believe from an interview with your cousin that he, in Auschwitz, he was for a certain time working with horses, and in the stable, he managed to save the life of a child who was born to a Jewish prisoner. Yes,
Uh, I'm not sure about this story because I don't recall, but definitely he spoke to Piotr more than he spoke to me, and if he told that, it must be truth. I'm not,
yes,
not uh, I haven't got the slightest doubt about that. What I know that he was feeding all the prisoners who have been totally undernourished nourished and on the verge of dying from hunger because uh, he working with the horses he had oats and he had access to oats and for the horses. So whenever somebody was near death from the undernourishment, he was brought by the camp organization. I mean the prisoners organization. He was brought to my uncle, and he was sometimes it was several people lying under the managers for the horses, and he was preparing meal for them every morning till they have been built, system recovered sufficiently to come back to work. That was the story. Of course, I believe everything I hear from him, and I as well heard it from my father that after war it was, so make one so feeling so nice and so proud that the people have been just on the street, have been approaching Uncle Vladislav and embraced him and saying, "Oh, it's you, Vladek. If not you, then I would never have made it." And it was a frequent situation. I mean, frequent. I never asked my father how many times it happened, but he, and always after this ex-prisoner asked, "Do you remember me, Vladek?" He says, "Yes, yes, of course." And later on, he says to my father, "For for the life of me, I can't say who he is. I can't remember him because it was so many of them that I'm not able to remember."
Yes.
That was the
Yes, of course, it is important. For um, can you tell me about? You were born in Zakopane,
yeah. I have been born in Zakopane.
and at what age did you move to Gali?
It was, I think, between 4 or 5. Uh, I was 4 or 5 years old.
Yes, and so. Can you tell us how did you decide to immigrate to South Africa? Because apparently you decided first to immigrate to Tunisia, but that was actually like a kind of a um, well, actually
Excuse, let's
yes,
say,
yes,
because that was
yes,
the,
like an
yeah,
alibi. Yes,
yeah, that was for two reasons that, to explain my long absence, if in case I would decide to come back, but mainly it was that there was two kinds of passports for going to the West during the communist rule in Poland.
yes,
That one which included only European country. It was for and on which I, of course, couldn't travel to South Africa. So you need some other country, whether African or American or Asian, to cause that the passport will be issued for the all countries of the world, not
yes,
limited to European continent.
yes. Yes, so how I understand that you in 1981 you came to South Africa, and in 1983 you received the citizenship of South Africa.
Actually, that is, I didn't receive it in 1983. I received the citizenship of South Africa only in 1988 or 89.
Yes, and from what you experienced, how was it in South Africa? I mean, people say today, in order to justify confiscating white farms that belong to white farmers, without compensation, that their land was also confiscated. But of course, I mean, commercial farms are a white thing, and it exists on the eastern part of South Africa, what used to be the Boer republics, and besides, if anything was confiscated from anybody, from whites or blacks or anybody else, uh, obviously they were compensated. I mean,
Uh, I'm not 100% sure about all the aspects, but I know all the farmers which I know, their families, going back and things, they have got the titles of deeds of the farm which they bought.
yes,
Which they bought from the natives. Of course, it was different things. Sometimes it was the transaction done with not with the money but with the cattle
yes,
and that. But I don't know the case of somebody being deprived of his land.
mhm,
Another thing which is very, which escapes of the mentality of people from the first world, let's say,
yes,
that it was hardly any concept of ownership of the land
yes,
at the moment when the first settlers, whether Bure of African, of English-speaking
yes,
and landed. Well, I know that it could be some, with the so-called Group Area Act, when it was the separation of the living areas for
yes,
various ethnic groups.
yes,
Then, from certain areas, they have been relocated to the other areas. I'm not saying that it wasn't connected to certain hardship and things, but it was usually fair and not the areas worse than they have been before. Of
yes,
course, that's what. But when I'm hear about this story of lands taken away and I simply know that 99% of that is not true.
yes,
Maybe it have been isolated cases, maybe it was the individual cases, but it wasn't the general policy
yes,
of the National Party government. And when we go beyond, of course, in the history of National Party government, the Union of South Africa under Commonwealth still and that wasn't the procedures which would have been approved by any government official.
yes. And if any land was taken, obviously, I mean, not a hundred. I can't say 100%. I don't know the cases, but probably they were compensated. Yes,
That's what I know. I would not, vouch for that, but it's common knowledge, and every farmer I've spoke to, or families of farmer, as I say, the farms have been very often in generation in the hands of the Boers or English-speaking farmers. They as well, of course, it was change of ownership and transaction among the white farmers. One was, or later, or of course, repossession of farms by the banks or things like that in the seasons of hardship and
yes,
failing of the harvest and like like with the land.
Yes.
But on the margin of that, I would like just say the short story which explain a little bit, may explain the mentality and propaganda now connected to this uh, uh, right to take the farms back without compensation, which government is trying, and other leftist organization like Mr. Malema and whoever. I remember the period when our family business in Kwakwa went down.
Yes.
First of all, we warned our workers because we wanted them, we knew that the business goes down.
Yes.
We had some glass items because we have been busy making glass ware and things. We had some wool because we have been as well involved in knitting factory and things like. Says, look, it's the crisis, and it's very, very possible you will not get your wages. So please, we can give you equivalent in wool, in glasses. You can sell it, you can survive.
Yes.
We had, unfortunately, the answer, no, no, we will wait for the money. We want money. And as we predicted, it wasn't money.
Yes.
So everything landed in the hands of liquidators,
Yes.
and they have been told to come in appointed dates
Yes.
to collect whatever it was will be from the liquidation. But the claims have been the because they didn't get wages for something like 2 months. The claim was the wages for half a year, and the quote, the amount of money was multiplied more or less by 3.
Yes.
Then it's simply kind of mentality. It's that determines situation like that, and later make possible any excuses, and making the propaganda in which the naive people tend to believe later.
Yes. And so you were in Kwakwa, which was kind of an autonomous area.
Yeah, it was the
Yes.
homeland, but it
Yes.
was the homeland which didn't get independence yet,
Yes.
like Bophuthatswana or Transkei.
Yes. So yes. And how did you came to know the people in the Afrikaner Weerstandsbeweging, the AWB, and the Conservative Party?
No, that was actually the when I seen the way the South Africa is going in the let's say in the middle of the 80s.
Yes.
That's simply the attitude of government, of national government, party government at this point of time was total softening, which only encouraged all the kinds of terrorist attack and revolutionary rhetorics.
Yes.
Then I started because first about 3 years, 2, 3 years, I just was trying to figure out what's going on.
Yes.
Didn't want to make the decision to really make myself stand this side or this side and whatever. party, but then I was looking for the people who have got certain plan
Yes.
for the situation, and that was basically Conservative Party was the continuation of the National Party government
Yes.
before the National Party made the left turn
Yes.
in the things. So there have been certain differences, of course. We haven't been uh, concentrating, like we have been accused later, on petty apartheid and things like that.
Yes.
But of course, the main policy to enfranchise those people, mainly in their local areas, their areas of origin, because as we know now, South Africa is sitting as a country with 11 official languages, which
Yes.
is a little bit too much.
Yes.
And with the practically domination on one tribe over all the other tribes.
Yes.
And we wanted to avoid it. And of course, not need to say, avoiding domination of this tribe or any other on us, the Boer citizens of South Africa, English speaking immigrants like me who more identify themselves out, uh, with the original white
Yes.
population of
Mhm.
South Africa. So that's why I have been involved with this party, and besides with the party of my, actually not party, but that was organization which was called Stalat Foundation. It was organization established by my co-accused and partner in crime, if you can say it, Clive Darby Lewis, who was very astute in political matters and historical matters, and this organization was mainly to unite the English-speaking white South African and the Afrikaans-speaking white South African, because as we know that the antagonism was always there. As we know, British have been the authors of the first concentration camps in the world.
Yes.
But I don't need to elaborate on that because everybody knows this part of
Yes.
history anymore. Hence, my as well membership of AWB,
Yes.
which I was accused in some interviews in Poland that the emblem looked like the Nazi emblem, which consists of number
Yes.
7 on the
Three
red
numbers.
field.
Yes.
And because it looks like that, but I think it's a bit of logic, like anybody who drinks Heineken beer is a communist because there is a red star there.
Ah, yes. That is like the
That's-
same relevance. Yes.
Yeah,
That's true.
that was my. I simply wanted to be together with Clive, and we made some meetings and inviting the AWB members to meeting of Stallard Foundation or even some conservative party meetings. The late Eugene Tereblanche to speak, and simply our goal and my main go to join AWB was for the sake of unity.
Yes. And Clive Darby Lewis, in another interview, I over listened to it, and I said by mistake that he was the leader of the Conservative Party. No, he wasn't the leader, but he
Yeah.
was a leading member, because the
One
leader,
of the leading
yes,
members, I mean, very, how to say, for me, that he was really the man with vision.
yes,
But he wasn't, of course, leader of Conservative Party. Leader of Conservative Party at the time was late Dr. Andres Trim.
yes,
Yeah,
and then Freddie Hart,
I think not.
Freddie,
I think Ferdinand.
Ferdinand Hart.
Yeah, I think it was. No,
Yes.
yes.
Then, yes, there is an interview with him, the secret interview that was published only after he passed away. Yes. So eventually, so you had already a gun. He tried to provide you with a gun, but you had a silencer.
If I can interrupt you,
Yes.
sorry, that was actually a bit different. I have had gun on my own, but it was obvious that I can't use my official firearm because
Yes.
the ballistic test or even ejector test can
Yes.
indicate the user. It was gun which eventually Clive W. Lewis provided to
Yes.
me, as the silencer was provided by him as well.
Ah, yes.
So that is the that's how the story was. That was one of the gun which was stolen from the batch of guns from Air Force in base in Pretoria, because already some organizations have seen which way things are moving.
Yes.
So it was excusable to get the things from army which was under control of government.
Yes. So then, um, so you already knew where Hani was living, and so he was parking his car, you were parking your car, and you called him Mr. Hani and shot him.
Yeah, when
Yes.
he turned around.
Yes.
When he turned around, I shot him.
So you shot him 4 times.
Yeah.
Was it, obviously, you could have shot him twice and fled the scene. Was he like still alive when you?
Look, I'm not,
An expert in
pathologist, but you see, there was the simple case that you can't take any chance. You must be 100% sure that the thing is accomplished.
Yes.
Maybe it had got something to do that it was a car which was the reason of my arrest later on, which disturbed me just in the moment after second shot. So I sort of was bit, because two shots. Actually, the first shot, as I learned later from the autopsy, was lethal. So I just didn't know what to do, what to decide, because the people have been observing me from the car, which stopped, and maybe, but the car went away, and then I sort of gave two more shots behind the ear, just to make sure that nothing is that that simply the
Yes, that
it's
the thing was accomplished.
accomplished. Yeah,
You
that
could say
was.
that the mission was accomplished. All right. Well, in any case, so how many people did observe you? Just that person that was in the other car?
I heard that it was two other people who took later on in identification parade. It was one black man and one white man who claimed to see me, and in this car that was which stopped, it was three people. It was, I think, the lady who later on phoned the police and gave my, and I believe she was traveling to for went for shopping, whether with her parents or with her parents-in-law. So it was three people in the car.
Yes. So you got arrested about half an hour later or something like that?
Yeah, it was quite soon after that.
Yes.
Oh,
So then I believe that at a certain stage, some of the investigators um, pretended that they were on your side and they meant to protect your accomplice.
promise. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
and that was Clive Darby-Lewis, and yes, and they tricked you into saying
Unfortunately, yeah, I was
yes,
naive enough, and besides, I was after the week without sleep completely.
yes, that is obvious.
So,
Yes,
no,
I mean, obviously, a person without sleep would
yeah, it's
think
the
less.
all
Yes,
concentration and judgment is
yes,
compromised. But still, I blame myself for that.
yes, yes. So then Clive Darby-Lewis got also arrested, and some other people too, but they were released. His wife, Gay Darby-Lewis, um, was in court. I mean, was on the trial, but she was acquitted.
She was acquitted. Yeah, that was. And other people have been arrested in connection with the gun, because
Yes,
they have been they took part in supplying the gun. That was the contacts.
yes,
But Clive took everything on himself, and they have been released.
yes, yes. So, so at first you were in the police station of Boxburg.
It was actually, I was arrested in Boxburg, and have been interrogated for about half a day or one day in Boxburg, but then I have been moved to Benoni police station, where I
Yes,
was for a week.
yes. And after that, in the Pretoria prison.
Yeah, that was Pretoria Maximum Prison,
Yes,
which in solitary confinement, till they after the week they as well put Clive to the same section where I am.
The same cell.
Mm.
So, and then all the time, were you with him in the same cell, or
In the same section, but
the
because
same
it
section?
was all single cells.
Ah, I
It was all
understand.
single cells.
Yes. And how was it in prison? Like, what were the conditions?
Yeah, I can't complain. Well, it was, one of the things was that we had, sorry, the light was burning all the night.
Yes.
They allowed us this sort of shelters or that you're using in aeroplane on
Ah,
the night
yes.
flight and things, but they uh, didn't switch the lights off for the night. On the beginning, food wasn't very bad. I mean, the issue of food was not bad because we have been allowed to get food from outside
Yes.
because we have been trial awaiting
Yes.
prisoners. And we had, of course, it was quite rigorous because officially we had only 1 hour to be open for exercise,
Yes.
otherwise to be confined to our cells all the time.
Yes.
But I must say that we got very, very, how to say, lenient, and besides the security, but when it comes to the issues like food, like opening hours, like visits, personnel as black as white, they have been very lenient, very friendly, and very accommodating.
Yes. And after trial, you were in death row for actually for many years.
7 years.
7 years.
7 years.
Yes. And how was it like in the did you have what access did you have to the internet at that time?
See, the thing is that I haven't got, unfortunately, to till today, I'm computer illiterate.
Yes.
But it wasn't access to the computers in any case at this point of time. The thing you could have was the radio and only one operating on batteries.
Yes. And when was the first time you had access to internet, to the computer?
Computer, well, it was, I think, from 1998 or 99. I'm not sure, but as I say, I never had computer in jail,
Mhm.
and unfortunately, which is quite, probably inconvenient in today's world.
Yes.
I don't know how to operate computer.
Yes. Mm. And
Even that, because it was as well the concession of getting computer, I would have to register myself as a student on University of UNISA or whatever university, and of course it was connected with the fees and things and all the. So I decided not to uh, pursue this way. I rather spend my time on the reading.
Yes. And I believe you also practiced karate. Karate.
Well, I practiced before I got to jail, and later on, I simply uh, did everything to keep in shape and practice
Yeah.
because it is very good mental.
Yes.
How to say mental exercise as well, but mainly keep you mentally focused
Yes.
and stronger.
Yes. And it is actually, yes, mental health. So
Yeah,
that was fortunate for you that I understand that you were kind of a champion in karate.
not really.
Not
Not
really.
really. I start relatively late. I was, I think, 33 years
Mhm.
when I started, and you should start as a teenager. Now,
Mhm.
even, people,
Yes.
children starting in 5 years or whatever.
Yeah.
And besides, I'm realistic. I never have been talented in
Mhm.
these things, but certain standard, and I achieved and try to keep it or even develop. But
And did you have a tape recorder or a DVD player in prison?
yes, when I started to learn language, because but it was quite late. It was, I think, in 2000 and okay, I had a tape recorder in my radio tape recorder, but later I got small uh, one on which I can record small Sony tape player and recorder, of which I almost have been sentenced. I mean, sentenced for some administrative punishment and things because they claim that that's the listening device and I haven't got papers to keep it. I never get permission. But finally, I proved that I got this thing when permission wasn't required.
Yes.
And that I had for
So
the language studies.
so that was in the year or in the first decade of the 21st century.
Yeah, it was whether at the end of the 20s or first years of the 21st century. I can't remember exactly.
So you could hear songs dedicated to you like by Olaf Yashinsky or Denis Gerasimov.
No, unfortunately, I haven't got possibility of receiving such materials
Mhm.
like tapes and later DVD discs, because for each thing like that you would have to write a report asking for permission and things, and I know that permission wouldn't have been granted, so didn't didn't waste my time just to be refused
Yes.
and give satisfaction that they can refuse something.
Mhm. Yes. And eventually, Clive Darby Lewis became. He was transported to hospital, and he used to be more in hospital and than in prison. Did you know about it at the first time in the year towards the end of 2010 that he was transported to hospital?
Hospital. Yeah, basically he was twice transported to hospital once he had infection in his leg because
Yes.
he just, I think, got his leg damaged of some scrap metal which was lying in the dark corridor.
Mm.
He almost lost his leg, but he survived it without, any drastic consequences.
Yes.
And the second time, it was, I think, in the 2016, 17, when he was stabbed in the lungs.
Yes. So I understand that you and him were attacked,
Mm.
and you actually saved his life.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't like that. It was, you see, he was. I was attacked before him, and the
Yes.
person who attacked me simply cut my head open with the small spade.
Yes.
Then, and I was running after him,
Yes.
but little bit I couldn't catch him because I slided on my own blood, almost fall
Mm.
down, and later on I didn't manage to catch him, and he, by running, the luck or misfortune in this case, cause the Clive was in the passage as well, and he just hit him over the head with this spade, and he ran away. But I haven't had opportunity to intervene in this,
Yes.
so it wasn't the case of saving his life.
And do you know? I mean, the first time that, I mean, in 2010, when Clive Darby Lewis was taken to hospital, did he there then open a Facebook account, or what? Or it wasn't possible?
I have got no idea. I have got no idea because as I say, I was very backwards when it comes to those matters. I never had any interest in that, and he never. Sometimes he was showing me some things on computer or some, but we never share things like if he has got Facebook or not.
Yes, because there was a Facebook account on his name, but
No,
I don't know if it was him or not. But yes.
uh, unfortunately, can't help. Haven't got idea what.
Yes. So, and eventually you were kind of released, but for how? For, I mean, you were paroled for
Yeah,
2 years.
for 2 years. Yeah.
Was it like a house arrest, or?
Basically, it was like a house arrest.
I mean, and where was it?
That was on the farm of the. I mean, I can say of my friend, but we became friends in period of those 2 years. Before I
Yes.
didn't even know him, but he
Yes.
extended his hand and helped me because nobody wanted to take responsibility or risk.
So you were at a house arrest, I mean, on parole
For
at a farm of a certain person who became your friend. Yes.
Yeah, that was not a very, I mean, strenuous parole condition because house arrest, but I had quite a big area to move around because it was on the farm.
Yes.
So it was actually very good for me to recover, to come back to the world. I mean,
Yes. To the
wealth of
normal.
wilderness, but
Yes.
but but another world than jail.
Yes. So, and that farm was in what area?
That was, some in northern Transvaal, as they
Northern Transvaal. Yes.
that,
What they call now Limpopo.
yeah.
Yes.
No,
But
I'm not up to date with all the names.
yes. All right. Northern Transvaal. Yes, that's the best way to call it. But I understand that at a certain stage, when you were still in prison, you appealed for um, revoking your South African citizenship. Uh, and from another interview, I mean, as well as much as I understand Polish, uh, you took the example of somebody else who,
Uh, it's not a, well. It was one of the prisoners. He was of Polish origin as well. He had Polish citizenship, and he was actually deported in I believe 2014 or
uh-huh,
2016. But in any case, I knew that simply as long I thought that the renouncement of South African citizenship will give more room for Polish authorities to act in my behalf
yes,
and to help me, which unfortunately didn't change much,
yes,
but that was original plan because and as well I knew I simply anticipated the problem that when it will come to time of parole, I will be myself quite vulnerable, and I will put to danger anybody who will give me the shelter
yes,
after that. For- Fortunately, the security on farm where I have been was very, very good, and it was brave guy, typical Boer, who just thought he has got no problem with the.
yes. And there you had a computer. You,
No, I haven't had. It was brought by my daughter, but I never,
you
never,
never used it.
I
Used it.
never used it. This time I spent on communication with people which I couldn't have for years because it wasn't allowed to have the cell phone in jail, and on my to get build up my strength to walk on the farm to help in more by observing in certain action like adapting and loading the wildlife animals and things. It was period that I really enjoyed.
But there
Yes.
was a computer in the farm.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was that
Yes.
was
That's
just
yes. In prison, you weren't allowed to use the cell phone, but there was a landline.
yeah, it was the
And
line which from time to time was broken down for the long weeks or months even sometimes, but
yes,
then it was a bit difficult to communicate.
yes, yes. All right. Then, so I think you've mentioned an example of somebody else From either Serbia or Croatia?
No, it was the guy from Poland who
From
was
Poland.
because there is normal procedure. Then when the citizen of the foreign country in South Africa
Yes.
comes back to his finish his term of jail and is eligible for parole, he is automatically deported to the country of his origin,
Yes.
where he hasn't got any other restrictions because he didn't commit crime
In
the
the
country
country of
of
origin.
origin.
Yes. I understand. And so then I understand that Mr. Grzegorz Braun came and you and accompanied you back to
Yeah,
Poland.
uh, yeah, for which I'm very grateful,
Yes.
and because he anticipated my situation as quite hazardous because it was some statements in the media that they want to finish this problem in South Africa once for all, and he read it that as a threat to my life, which could have been interpreted like that. I'm not sure if it was, but in any case, I'm very grateful that he used his time and maybe as well took the risk because you never know what can happen when and what.
So you had a flight from the Johannesburg airport, what was used to be called the Jan Smuts airport.
Smuts, yeah. Yeah, from there to Frankfurt by Lufthansa and from Frankfurt to Warsaw.
Yes. By Lufthansa too?
By Lufthansa, yeah. The local flight, European flight, not intercontinental.
Yes. So, yes. Um, what would do you have any message to people who are in the conditions you were, different political assassins or other people?
Firstly, I would like to say, well, rather rather avoid this kind of political means, and because finally it brings no well, maybe in this case it prevented one of the worst terrorists to come and become the head of the state, which was
Yes,
planned to be. But in general, the assassination usually gives your victim status of the hero and
yes,
goodness, whoever he is, and you are landing in jail and being what to say attacked from all the sides verbally and putting yourself in the lowest possible position, all um, the accusations, definition of character, whatever.
yes,
And of course, the spending time in jail it's not fun as well. So
yes,
it's and maybe the message if somebody is real in some if lands situation like that, never in jail believe that drugs will give you some relief, that it will carry you through just for the period and things like that, because it's one of the biggest dangers of jail.
Yes, having taken drugs in jail, yes,
Yeah.
is not advisable. Yes,
More or less all I can say, but as I say, generally I don't advise to take actions of this kind.
yes. What is your message to like state ministers who are responsible for the conditions of prisoners in jail?
Okay. As I say, besides taking only my and Clive case, Clive Derby Lewis case, Eugene de Cox case,
Yes,
Ferdinand Barnard case, and
yes,
many others, it's obvious that it wasn't justice, it was revenge, the way
yes,
we have been treated. But the message is, I'm very grateful to the prison guards, whoever, white, later mainly blacks who have been in charge of me, for their honesty, for their compassion, for their encouragement.
yes,
And I must say, it was like that. I haven't got, and they've been openly talking with me against everything the higher officials have been doing
yes,
to us. And of course, I have got as well message about so-called Truth and Reconciliation Commission, that it was the biggest waste of money which didn't solve any problem in the country.
yes,
Only, I think, in, increase and bred resentment even more.
yes. Yes, all right. So, thanks for the interview.
Thank you very much,
Yes,
Abner. That was nice to say my side of the story if you have been interested. And
yes,
I try to be completely truthful and completely open. And
yes.
thank you to whoever wants to listen and look.
Thanks very much. Dziękuję bardzo i szczęść
Również
Boże.
dziękuję.
Szczęść
Daj Panie
Boże.
Boże.
Tak.